All right, welcome to a rare Monday stream given our weird schedule. So we are looking at worksheet 13. This should be a fairly quick video, not a whole lot of work for you guys to do, but I just wanted to kind of go over how numbers work, what numbers look like. We've talked about Roman numerals, so we talked about our I's and our V's and X's and L's and all the ways to combine those. But of course, Latin is a language. There are words for numbers. And so just from counting perspective, right, what we call cardinal numbers are counting numbers. You have unus, duo, tres, quator, quinque, sex, septem, octo, novem, decem. Everybody should be able to count from 1 to 10. Numbers are adjectives. Right? You can tell me that you have a red apple, a delicious apple, or you could tell me you have one apple. You are technically describing it. It's just that the thing that you're describing is how many of them you have. So because they are adjectives, they can decline. Some numbers will have declensions to them. So if we look here at unus, right, when you learn the word unus, the number 1, it is unus, una, unum. Okay, so there is a masculine form, there's a feminine form, and a neuter form. The genitive for all three genders is unius. So this word falls into a special category of adjectives where they have slightly different endings than what you might expect. All right, so it's not uni. The dative is actually uni. So you go unius in the genitive, uni in the dative. What's up, Johnny? The accusatives are what you would expect: masculine unum, feminine unam, neuter unum, right? And the ablatives are what you might expect: uno, una, uno. So it's roughly the first and second declension endings, but you have to be really careful with the genitive and the dative because they're a little different than what you might expect. Johnny, we're doing unus nauta. Oh boy. Unus nauta, there it is. Duo, which is the word for two. We have a masculine form, duo. We have a feminine form, duai. And we have a neuter form, duo. These endings are kind of a little all over the place. So genitive, duorum, duarum, duorum. That kind of makes sense. This is a special ending, obus. It's kind of like ibus for third declension, but obus is an old set of endings. So you have duobus, duabus, and duobus for your dative. Accusative, you have duos, right? Makes sense. Os, duas, makes sense. And then duo, because it needs to be the same as the nominative. And then again, for the ablative, we have duobus, duabus, duobus. Seems reductive, but you'd be surprised. One, we're learning about numbers today. What's up, Big Pete? One is always singular, and two is always plural. So don't try to put, plural endings on one and singular endings on two, right? If you got one of something, it's always going to be singular. If you have at least two, right, it's always going to be plural. Three is a little different because it has a masculine feminine set. Those are always the same. And then neuter is the one that's different. So masculine feminine, we have trace, but the neuter form of trace is tria. So trace pueri, but tria animalia, for instance. Trium for the genitive plural, tribus, trace and tria again, and then tribus for our ablative. Numbers, let me zoom out a little bit here. Numbers above 3, so 1, 2, and 3 have declension. Numbers above that, for the most part, do not. So if you have 4 of something, it's quator. Whether it's quator in the nominative, quator in the accusative, quator in the ablative, it's always quator. Quator is quator is quator. Quinque, sex, septem, octo, novem, decem, they are all indeclinable. So that means that you use the same form for every case. Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative, doesn't matter, always the same. So 1, 2, and 3, you got to think about what ending do I need to use here. Everything above that, for the most part, is indeclinable. There are some exceptions with like big benchmark numbers like hundreds, 200, 300. Yeah, Peter, it's good to see your face. as close as we can, right, in this online world. Good to see your name on a screen. Cardinal versus ordinal numbers. So we're not going to get too in depth in this, but just know that there are two sets of numbers. There are many sets of numbers, but the two we're going to focus in on. Cardinal are your counting numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, and so on and so forth. Ordinal numbers are when you put things into a rank or put them in order. And those are different, right? So unus is 1, but primus is first. So it goes primus, secundus, tertius, quartus, quintus, sextus, septimus, octavus, nonus, and decimus. So that set of numbers can be used with anything. Could be singular, could be plural, could be masculine, could be feminine, could be neuter, right? And those are just adjectives. So as it says here, their first and second declension adjectives, they always decline, right? The first king is the primus rex. The first queen is the prima regina. If she's in the accusative, she's primam reginam, and so on and so forth. Okay. Cardinal numbers are either singular or plural. Of course, ordinal numbers, like I said, could be anything. So, unus nauta, that would be one sailor, right? That is a cardinal number. Unus is in the singular, always in the singular. Nauta in the singular, agreeing with it. The primi nautai. What are the primi nautai? So we have a plural, right? Sailors. And if they are the primi nautai, they are the first sailors. So first can be plural, right? You can have a group of people who are the first, right? For instance, summus primi. We are the first, right? We are the first school. We are the first students at the school, all that good stuff. So primus can be plural. Septem reges, right? In the plural now, because we have septem. So we have 7 kings. The septimus rex, now we're switching over to the ordinal. The septimus rex is the 7th king. So septem is 7, septimus is 7th. And most of the time the cardinal and the ordinal look pretty similar to one another. The big exceptions being primus, right, from unus, and secundus from duo. After that, you can pretty much match them up. Tres becomes tertius. Quator becomes quartus. Quinque becomes quintus. All right, Johnny. Nice to see you. So now we get to the main event here. So we're doing some noun-adjective pairs, but since we're dealing with numbers, we're not doing a singular and a plural. It's just one or the other. So we have 3 names, right? So my noun for name is a nomen. It is neuter. Since I have 3 of them, I'm skipping the singular and I'm going right to the plural. So the stem of this word, nomen, nominis, right? The stem would be, oops, I'm going to have to do a little formatting here. Give me 1 second. The stem of that word would be nomin, right? Nomin. I'll make these a little bit bigger too. Let's go 14. Yep. Because it's neuter, it would be nomina. Okay. Gotta do that formatting. All right, so nomina, right? It is a third declension noun. I know it's third declension because of this is right here. So it goes nomina, nominum, nominibus, nomina, and nominibus. So we only use the plural side because we're dealing with 3 of them. Okay? The word for 3 is trace, but there's a neuter form of trace, and that neuter form of trace is tria. Tria nomina. Trium nominum. Tribus nominibus. Tria nomina, tribus, nominibus. So the noun and the adjective should look roughly like they go together, right? That should, for the most part, even if they're different declensions, there should be some pattern to it, okay? Let's go now to one body, right? So we're dealing with one, which means it's going to be singular. So the singular of corpus is corpus, right? The genitive, corporis, right? So we get the nominative singular, genitive singular. They're right here. Another neuter noun, so keep that in the back of your mind. Corpori would be my dative. The accusative of corpus is corpus because it's a neuter noun. I threw two neuters at you to start the worksheet. Just make sure you're paying attention. And then the ablative would be corpore. We go back to the stem. Corpora. We have one of them, and they are neuter. So unus, una, unum. Unum corpus. Then we have unius, because it's a weird genitive ending, and uni. Then we're back to what we expect. Unum and uno. So unum corpus, unius corporis, uni corpori, unum corpus, uno corpore. Hey, Jade. Next one we have is 7 laws. Okay, the word for 7 is septem. And like I said, once you get above 3, you don't really have to be thinking about declension anymore. They are indeclinable. So 7 is septem, 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 and septem. That's about as easy as it gets when you're doing declension, right? It's the same one all the way down. Because we have laws, plural, right? We got to skip the singular endings and go right to the plural. So the stem here for legs, lex legis is leg. So we get leges, legum, legibus, leges, and legibus. It just changed legum to legume. That's pretty funny. So leges, legum, legibus, leges, and legibus. So make sure you catch that one, guys. Sometimes I forget that it'll auto-correct me with funny stuff. So septem leges, septem legum, septem legibus, septem leges, septem legibus. And last one we have is 2 sons, S-U-N, kind of sons. So since we have 2 of them, we got to just go right to the plural forms. So get my formatting here. Ba-bam, 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 bam. 14. So we've got soles, right? That would be your masculine or feminine plural ending. Solum, sometimes it's solium, but we're not going to go there. Solibus, soles, and solibus. And it keeps auto-correcting me to the English word souls. So let's not lose those long marks there. Soles, solum, solibus, soles, solibus. Now the word for 2, right? Duo, duai, duo. Since we're dealing with masculine here, we're going to use duo. Duo soles. The genitive plural is duorum, because it kind of has a second declension feel to it. Duobus, that's a weird form. Duos, masculine plural. And then duobus, right? All those numbers, all those, declinable numbers 1, 2, and 3, you can find on the front of the worksheet. Okay, I'm not just pulling those out of nowhere, right? They're on the front of the worksheet. Just make sure when you're doing this, right, if it's a singular number, aka 1, make sure your noun is singular. If it's a plural number, anything more than 1, that your noun needs to be plural as well. And I promised you guys a quick one, so I'm going to cut it there. That's 15. And I'll see you later. See you.